It started with a bark that sliced through the ordinary hum of a quiet suburban street like a siren. Officer Riley Grant tightened her grip on Max's leash, startled by the sudden shift in the German Shepherd's demeanor. Max had been her partner for 5 years now, loyal, sharp, and unshakable, but when he lowered his nose to the cracked pavement and began tugging her toward a faded blue sedan parked under the shade of an old maple, Riley knew something wasn't right. Max's barks grew more frantic as they reached the car. His claws scratched at the rear door, nose pressed against the glass, tail rigid like a rod. Riley peered through the tinted window, squinting against the afternoon sun. At first, she saw nothing but a mess of blankets and fast food wrappers littering the backseat floor. But then she noticed it, a tiny foot, pale and unmoving, poking out from beneath the frayed edge of a thin blanket. Riley's heart slammed against her ribs. Without a second thought, she called it in. "Dispatch, this is Officer Grant. I need an ambulance at the corner of Maple and 3rd. Possible child in distress." While she waited, she tried the door. Locked. She rapped on the glass. No response. Max circled the car, barking wildly, his breath fogging up the window as he poured at the door in desperation. Riley scanned the area, no parent, no guardian in sight, just the hum of cicadas and the distant roar of traffic. She felt the suffocating weight of the summer heat pressing down on her shoulders and thought of how stifling it must be inside that car. Seconds felt like hours. She smashed the window with her baton, shards scattering like ice on the pavement. She reached in, careful not to startle the child. It was a boy, no older than 3, his cheeks flushed, eyelids fluttering weakly. Riley scooped him up, her chest tightening when she felt how hot his skin was to the touch. Max fell silent the moment the boy was in Riley's arms, standing guard by her side as she laid the child gently on the grass and checked for signs of life. His tiny chest rose and fell, shallow but steady. Relief washed over her in a wave so strong her knees nearly gave out. When the paramedics arrived, they moved quickly, placing an oxygen mask over the boy's face, loading him onto a stretcher. One of them, a young EMT named Jesser, gave Riley's shoulder a reassuring squeeze. "You and your partner saved his life today." Riley looked down at Max, who sat by her feet, tongue lolling out as if he hadn't just torn her world apart and stitched it back together in the same heartbeat. She ruffled his fur. "Good boy, maximum good boy." 2 days later, Riley sat in the break room at the precinct, staring at the blank report form in front of her. The incident had made the local news. Hero K9 saves child left in hot car. Their headlines were everywhere, neighbors dropping off thank you cards, strangers sending dog treats addressed to Maximum. But the praise did little to silence the storm raging in Riley's mind. How could anyone leave a child like that? What if they hadn't been there? What if Max hadn't caught the scent? The questions ate at her, a gnawing reminder that tragedies like this happen too often, sometimes with no one around to stop them. Max lay curled at her feet, nose twitching as he dreamed. Riley reached down and traced the scar along his ear, a reminder of a past call gone wrong, a meth house bust that could have ended both their careers. They'd survived that together. They'd survived this too. Her phone buzzed, an email from Child Protective Services. The boy's name was Liam. His mother had been found hours later, disoriented, claiming she'd just run inside a store for a minute. But it wasn't a minute. It was nearly an hour. An hour that could have ended Liam's story forever. Riley spent the next few weeks following up on Liam's case. On her days off, she visited the hospital, where Liam was recovering under the watchful eyes of nurses who'd started calling him their miracle boy. Each time, she brought Max along, at first to lift the spirits of the nurses, but soon because Liam would smile every time Max padded into the room, tail wagging. One afternoon, Liam's grandmother, a kind woman named Ellen, pulled Riley aside. Her eyes brimmed with tears. She tried to blink away. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. "I could have lost him. My daughter, she's struggling. She needs help. But if you and Max hadn't been there..." "You don't have to thank me," Riley said, her voice catching. She looked at Max, who had climbed onto Liam's bed, curling protectively around the boy's tiny frame. "He's the hero." Ellen nodded, squeezing Riley's hand. "Maybe. But you trained him. You stayed. You cared." But not everyone cared. A week later, Riley was called out to another parking lot. Another child, this time a baby girl, left in a stroller outside a grocery store while her father argued with a cashier inside. The sight of her, red-faced, crying, sweat-drenched, hit Riley like a punch to the gut. Again, Max was the first to find her. Again, his bark sliced through the haze of apathy that seemed to cling to people who should have known better. Back at the precinct that night, Riley sat in her squad car long after her shift ended, Max curled up in the passenger seat. She scratched behind his ears, her throat tight with anger and exhaustion. "How many more, Max?" she whispered. "How many more do we have to find before people understand?" Max nudged her hand with his nose, his dark eyes calm and steady, as if to remind her, one more. One more life saved is worth it. So Riley made it her mission. She started visiting schools, libraries, community centers, anywhere she could talk about the dangers of leaving children in cars, the signs to look for, the simple steps that could prevent unthinkable loss. Max became a local legend, kids lined up to pet him, parents snapped photos, news stations ran segments on their talks. Some nights, Riley lay awake, haunted by the ones they might not reach in time. But every time she felt that weight pressing down on her chest, she'd feel Max hop onto the bed, curling up beside her with a heavy sigh, his presence steady and grounding. One life saved had become a spark. And that spark was catching. Months later, on a crisp autumn morning, Riley and Max stood at the edge of a crowded park, watching Liam chase leaves under Ellen's watchful eye. His laughter rang through the air, clear and bright, a sound that reminded Riley why she did what she did, why they both did. Ellen caught Riley's eye and waved her over. Liam broke away from the leaves, running straight into Riley's arms. His tiny hands fisted in her uniform shirt as he buried his face in her shoulder. "You wanna see Max?" Riley asked, setting him down. "Max!" Liam squealed, and the German shepherd trotted over, tail wagging so hard it thumped against Riley's legs. Liam hugged Max's neck, giggling when Max licked his cheek. Riley looked at Ellen, who mouthed, "Thank you," again. Riley just nodded. Some things didn't need to be said out loud anymore. Riley knew she couldn't save everyone. But standing there, with Max by her side and Liam's laughter echoing through the park, she knew this: as long as they kept showing up, as long as they kept barking at the backseats of parked cars, as long as they kept fighting for the voiceless, one life saved would always be worth it. So if you believe every child's life matters, if you believe in heroes with fur and hearts bigger than any badge, drop a comment below and tell us your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Justice on Paws for more true stories of K9 courage and compassion. Together, we can keep this spark alive, one bark, one life, one story at a time. Thank you for watching. Stay kind, stay vigilant, and remember, justice always has paws.